Every Salah, Alhaji Musa was the most generous man in the neighborhood. He would arrive with bags of meat, rice, and money, distributing gifts to every child he saw. Parents praised him. Children ran to him with joy. Everyone called him a good Muslim, a blessed man, a pillar of the community. But what they didn't know was that every gift he gave came with a price. A terrible, invisible price. Because Alhaji Musa wasn't giving charity. He was collecting destinies. With every piece of meat he handed out, he was stealing glory. With every naira note he gave, he was harvesting futures. And the native doctor who gave him this power had promised him one thing: as long as he kept giving on solid day, he would become richer and richer, while the children would fail and fail and fail. This is the true story of how evil hides behind generosity, and how one mother's discovery brought down the most wicked man in Lagos. Alhaji Musa Badmus was a wealthy businessman in Lagos. He owned 3 filling stations, 2 hotels, and several properties across the city. Everyone knew him as a successful man, a devout Muslim who never missed prayers, and most importantly, a generous philanthropist who loved children. Every Eid-el-Kabir and Eid-el-Fitr, Alhaji Musa would show up in neighborhoods across Lagos with his car full of gifts. Bags of ram meat from the Salah sacrifice. Bags of rice. New clothes for children. Envelopes with money. He would spend the entire day going from house to house, compound to compound, distributing his gifts with a big smile. Children would run to him screaming, "Alhaji! Alhaji," with their hands stretched out.
Here you go.
Parents would thank him profusely, praising Allah for blessing them with such a generous neighbor. Some people even named their children after him. Alhaji Musa was beloved, respected, honored. But Alhaji Musa had a secret. A dark, evil secret that nobody suspected. 5 years ago, Alhaji Musa wasn't wealthy. He was struggling. His businesses were failing. He was drowning in debt. His filling stations had no customers. His hotels were empty. He was desperate, bitter, and angry watching other men prosper while he suffered. That's when a friend told him about a powerful native doctor in a village in Ogun State. This native doctor, they said, could make anyone rich. Guaranteed. No matter how poor you were, he could change your destiny. Desperate and willing to try anything, Alhaji Musa drove to the village late one night. He found the native doctor's shrine deep in the forest. The old man sat surrounded by strange items, cowries, bones, and dark spiritual objects. Alhaji Musa explained his problem. "I want to be rich. Extremely rich. I don't care what it costs." The native doctor smiled, revealing missing teeth. "I can make you the richest man in Lagos. But the price is high." "I'll pay anything," Alhaji Musa said. The native doctor explained the ritual. Alhaji Musa would become rich, but his wealth would come from stealing the glory and destinies of children. Every Salah festival, he must give gifts to as many children as possible. The gifts would be spiritually prepared. When the children ate the meat, wore the clothes, or spent the money, their destinies would be transferred to Alhaji Musa. The children would struggle in life. They would fail in school. They would never succeed. And all their supposed blessings would become his. Alhaji Musa hesitated for only a moment. Then greed overcame his conscience. "I'll do it." The native doctor performed the ritual that night. He gave Alhaji Musa special prayers to recite over every gift before distributing them. He gave him a small black stone to keep in his pocket. And he warned him, "Never stop giving on solid day. If you stop even once, everything you've gained will be destroyed, and the curse will return to you." Alhaji Musa agreed. And from that day, his businesses exploded with success. Money poured in from everywhere. His filling stations became the busiest in Lagos. His hotels were always fully booked. He became wealthy beyond his dreams. And every Salah, he would buy bags of ram meat, rice, clothes, and prepare envelopes of money. But before giving them out, he would take everything to the native doctor's shrine. There, they would perform rituals over the items, speaking incantations, making sacrifices, spiritually programming every gift to steal destiny. Then Alhaji Musa would return to Lagos and distribute the cursed gift with a smile, looking like the most generous man in the world, while secretly destroying the futures of innocent children. For 5 years, this continued. And Alhaji Musa watched his wealth multiply while children who received his gifts began to struggle mysteriously. Bright students who ate his meat would suddenly start failing exams. Children who wore his clothes would become sick frequently. Families who received his money would experience constant bad luck. But nobody connected the dots. Nobody suspected that their generous neighbor was the source of their children's problems. Nobody except one woman. A mother named Khadija. Khadija was a widow who lived in the same neighborhood as Alhaji Musa. She had one son, a brilliant 12-year-old boy named Ibrahim. Ibrahim was the top student in his school, sharp, intelligent, respectful, with a bright future ahead of him. Every Salah, Ibrahim would receive gifts from Alhaji Musa just like the other children. And Khadija, like other parents, was grateful for the generous neighbor's kindness. But last year's Salah, something strange happened. After Ibrahim ate the ram meat that Alhaji Musa had given him, he began to change. Suddenly, this brilliant boy who always scored first position started failing exams. His teachers were shocked. His mother was confused. Ibrahim himself couldn't understand what was happening. He would study hard, but during exams, his mind would go blank. Then Ibrahim started having nightmares. Every night, he would dream of an old man in a dark shrine, calling his name, pulling him into darkness. He would wake up screaming, terrified. Khadija took Ibrahim to the hospital. The doctors found nothing wrong. She took him to Islamic scholars for prayers. Nothing changed. Her son continued to decline, and his nightmares continued. One night, Ibrahim had the dream again. But this time, he saw something clearly. In the dream, the old man in the shrine was holding a piece of meat. And the old man said, "This is what binds you to me. The meat you ate on Salah day." Ibrahim woke up and told his mother everything. And suddenly, Khadija remembered. The meat. From Alhaji Musa. Her son's problems had started immediately after eating it. Khadija was a spiritual woman. She knew about the existence of evil in the world. And her instinct told her something was very wrong with Alhaji Musa's gift. So she made a decision. She would investigate. She would find out the truth. Khadija began asking questions quietly in the neighborhood. She talked to other mothers whose children had received gifts from Alhaji Musa. And slowly, a pattern emerged. Many children who had eaten his meat or worn his clothes had experienced sudden decline. Good students becoming failures. Healthy children becoming frequently sick. Promising futures mysteriously blocked. The evidence was too strong to ignore. Something evil was happening. Khadija needed proof. So she did something very brave. The next Salah was approaching. She knew Alhaji Musa would distribute gifts again. So she decided to follow him and discover his secret. On the day before Salah, Khadija saw Alhaji Musa's car loaded with bags of meat, rice, and other items. But instead of distributing them immediately, he drove out of Lagos. Khadija followed him from a distance in her own small car. They drove for over an hour, heading into Ogun State. Finally, Alhaji Musa turned onto a dirt road leading into a forest. Khadija parked at a distance and continued on foot, hiding behind trees. She watched as Alhaji Musa carried the bags into a shrine. Through the window, she saw him with an old native doctor, performing rituals over the gifts. She heard them chanting. She saw them making sacrifices. She recorded everything on her phone. Khadija's blood ran cold. Her suspicions were confirmed. Alhaji Musa was using dark powers to destroy children's destinies for wealth. She had the evidence. Now she needed to expose him. The next day, Salah Day, Alhaji Musa showed up in the neighborhood as usual, big smile on his face, car loaded with cursed gifts, ready to destroy more children's futures while looking like a saint. Children began running toward him as usual. Alhaji. Alhaji. But before he could start distributing, Khadija stepped forward. Her voice was loud and clear. Don't touch anything from this man. Don't eat his meat. Don't take his money. Everything he gives is cursed. The crowd fell silent. Everyone stared at Khadija in shock. Alhaji Musa's face went pale. Sister Khadija, what are you saying? Someone asked. Alhaji Musa is a good man. No. Khadija shouted. He is evil. He uses native doctors to put curses on his gifts. He steals children's glory to become rich. Alhaji Musa tried to deny it. This woman is crazy. How dare you accuse me of such wickedness? But Khadija pulled out her phone. I have proof. I followed you yesterday. I saw you at the shrine. I recorded everything. She played the video for everyone to see. Crystal clear footage of Alhaji Musa at the shrine with the native doctor, performing rituals over the Salah gifts, chanting evil incantations. The crowd erupted in shock and anger. Parents grabbed their children and pulled them away from Alhaji Musa. Some men started shouting at him. Some women started crying, realizing their children had been victims. My daughter has been failing since she ate your meat last year. My son has been sick constantly since he wore your clothes. You wicked man. You destroyed our children. Alhaji Musa tried to run to his car, but the angry crowd surrounded him. Someone called the police. Within minutes, police arrived and arrested Alhaji Musa. The evidence on Khadija's phone was undeniable. That same day, police raided Alhaji Musa's house and found the black stone the native doctor had given him, along with other spiritual items used for the rituals. They also went to the shrine in Ogun State and arrested the native doctor. Both men confessed to everything. The native doctor revealed that Alhaji Musa had been stealing children's destinies for 5 years through the Salah gifts. Over 1,000 children had been affected. Islamic scholars were called to perform cleansing prayers for all the affected children. Parents were told to take their children for spiritual purification. And slowly, miraculously, the children began to recover. Ibrahim, Khadija's son, stopped having nightmares. His brilliance returned. Within months, he was back to being the top student in his class. Other children also experienced breakthrough. Students who had been mysteriously failing started passing again. Sick children became healthy. Blocked destinies opened up. As for Alhaji Musa, everything collapsed. His wealth disappeared almost overnight. His businesses failed. His properties were seized. He lost everything, just as the native doctor had warned would happen if the ritual was ever broken. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison for fraud and spiritual manipulation. His reputation was destroyed. The man who everyone once praised as generous was now known as the most wicked man in Lagos. And the lesson from this story spread throughout Nigeria. Parents became more careful about accepting gifts from strangers, even during religious festivals. People learned that not every generous person has pure intentions. Some gifts come with terrible prices. The moral of this story is clear and urgent. Not everyone who gives has a good heart. Some people use generosity as a weapon. Some people hide evil behind charity. Evil can disguise itself as kindness. Always pray over gifts before consuming them, especially during religious festivals when spiritual activities are high. Be discerning. If something feels wrong, trust your instinct. And never be afraid to investigate when you notice patterns of misfortune. Most importantly, teach your children that not every gift is a blessing. Some gifts are curses in disguise. Khadija saved not just her son, but over 1,000 children because she was brave enough to investigate, smart enough to gather evidence, and bold enough to expose evil even when everyone else was blind to it. May Allah protect all children from those who use spiritual manipulation for personal gain. May we all have discernment to recognize evil even when it wears the mask of generosity. And remember, if someone's wealth is growing while children around them are mysteriously struggling, ask questions. Investigate. Because some prices are paid with other people's destinies. This is the story of Alhaji Musa, the man who stole children's glory on Salah Day. And the brave mother who stopped him. This is the end. If you enjoy stories like this, kindly subscribe to Midnight Tales by Chi for more interesting stories.